looking at a topic that comes up in the AST, and it's not actually called Diophantine Equations, but it involves Diophantine Equations, and it comes up mainly in the multi-choice. And here's an example of the skills that are involved. So you get an equation, you don't actually get an equation, but you get variables, and in this particular case I've said 2x plus 3y equals 28. But you don't get another equation, you only get one equation. So you have to work out what sort of values you can have. So what we do is we just set up a table of values that it could be. Now, 3 doesn't go into 28, but 2 goes into 28. So 2 into 28 goes 14, which means I could have 14 for the value of x, but then y would be 0. So if 2 times 14 is 28, plus 3 times 0 is 28. And to get the other answers, we just look for patterns. And the pattern is that the x numbers, sorry, the x variable will change by 3. And you don't have to understand why, they just change. Now we don't increase it, we just decrease it. So we just say 11, subtract 3, 8, subtract 3, 5, subtract 3, 2. And we can't go any further because we have to have positive numbers. Okay, so the x number is changing by 3, and what do you think the y number changes by? It changes by 2, and so it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, and all of those solutions would fit into 2x plus 3y equals 28. You don't have to know the theory behind it. Once you get the first answer, the rest are all patterns. Okay, so we'll come across and look at some more examples before we look at actual questions. So in this next one, I've got 3x plus 4y equals 28. And we set up a table of values, and we're looking for our first answer. So 3 doesn't go into 28, but 4 goes into 28. So 4 goes into 28 7 times, and so the other answer is 0. 3 times 0 plus 4 times 7 equals 28. Now the x variable will change by 4, so 4, 8, I'll put down 12 just in case we need it, and the y variable will change by 3s. So subtract 3, subtract 3, subtract 3, and then we don't need the minus. So there are 3 answers. Now what happens when you don't get any of the numbers go into the number? Well, you've just got to find a first solution. So we can say, for instance, if x equals 1, I would be subtracting 3 from 53 and then seeing if 4 goes into it. Now 4 doesn't go into 50. So that means that x doesn't equal 1. So, or you could try subtracting 4 until you get a multiple of 3. So it doesn't matter. But I'll put 53 down the side, and for every x equals 1, I'm going to subtract 3. So the next number would be 50, but 4 doesn't go into 50. 47, 44, and that's the first number that goes divisible by 4. So we set up our table. So subtract 1, subtract 2, so x is 3, 3 3s are 9, 9 subtracted from 53 is 44, and then divide that by 4 and you get 11. So there's our first answer, x is 3. So you just have to either subtract 3 and look for a multiple of 4, or subtract 4 and look for a multiple of 3. Once you have your first answer, you just look for the pattern. X changes by 4, so 7, 11, 15, I'll just do a few, and 11, y changes by 3, 8, 5, 2, and then a minus 1, which you can't have. So there's your solutions. Now you say to yourself, well, that's really nice, but how does it apply in actual questions? So here's an example of an actual AST. So we've got hats and scarves, and hats cost $6, scarf cost $11, and we made $222. So we've got to get our first equation, and the first equation will be 6x and 11y equals 222. Okay, so there's our first equation. Now it'd be nice if 6 goes into 222 evenly, or 11 goes into 222 evenly. Don't try the 11, doesn't work. So 222 divided by 6. 6 into 2 doesn't go. 6 into 22, 6 3s are 18, and 4 left over. 6 7s are 42. So there's our first answer. X is 37 and y equals 0. So the x number will change by 11. So 26, 15, 4, and then we go negative. The y number will change by 6's, 6, 12, 18. There's all our answers. So now we just have to look at the question. So hats are x, scarves are y. So the number of hats that could be sold is 3, 4, 5 or 6. The answer is 3. Oh, the answer is 4. The number of scarves that could have been sold, 3, 4, 5, 6. The answer is 6. Which of the following is true? Can we have an odd number of scarves? No. 3 more hats than scarves? 3 more hats than scarves? The answer is B. Question's all over. Okay, so let's look at another one. That'll be our last one. Okay, we're selling rabbits for $5, canaries for $7, and we made $97. So 5x plus 7y equals 97. So this is an example. 5 does not go into 97, and 7 does not go into 97. But if we subtract 7 and get 90, then 90 is divisible by 5. So our first answer is really easy. That's 1. 7 subtracted from 97 is 90. And we have to divide that by 5. 5 into 9 goes once with 4 left over. 5 into 40 goes 8. So we have 18. The x number changes by the y. So 11, 4, and then we're done. The y number changes by the x. 6, 11. We're done. We read the question. Rabbits and canaries. The shop must have sold 11 canaries. Done. And the question's all over. Okay, so that's Diophantines. Thanks for coming.